Hello everyone! Football season started up and I was wondering, what if Sonic had a football game? I could have done this with Mario, but then I remembered that he practically almost did every sport in the book, so we're going with Sonic. Now you know I'm hyped to see characters aggressively recycle each other, so let's discuss what a Sonic football game could be like. Let's talk about how to play the sport of American football. This is going to be a bit boring, so stick with me on this for a little while. So obviously the main goal of the game is to have more points by the end of the game. To do this, your team, when it's on the offense, has to get the ball into the end zone, which will grant you 6 points. After that, you can add more points by kicking the field goal, which will give you 1 point, or go for a 2-point conversion. It sounds easy, but it could be either a short or long process. On the field, you have to get the ball to go at least 10 yards down the field to keep playing offensively, which will be considered a down. This usually happens because the quarterback, the captain of the team and the most important player on the offense, will either throw the football to a wide receiver who is open to catch it downfield, or run with the ball or give it to the running back to run downfield to gain yards as well. When playing on the offense, your team has 4 attempts to get it down. If your team gets the ball down the field by a numerous amount of yards, but you're on your 4th down or 4th and goal, you can attempt a field goal which, if successfully made, would give you 3 points, just so that drive does end with some points on the board at least. If your team failed to get a first down and not in field goal range, you have to give up the ball by punting it to the opposing team. On the defensive side, your goal is to not let the offensive team get first down. This can be done by tackling whoever on the offense has the ball or breaking through the offensive line to tackle the quarterback, and they still have the ball in possession before they can get it first down. On the offensive side, your quarterback could accidentally throw the ball to a player on the opposing team, which will be an interception. The defense will be the offense in that scenario, and they can take the ball to their end zone. The next play will start on the yard where the one who intercepted the ball gets tackled. If both teams are tied in points at the end of the regular game, the game will go into overtime, and whoever gets the ball first is decided by a coin toss. Whoever scores a touchdown first is declared the winner. Whew. That's it for pretty much explaining the basic rules of football. So let's move on to the Sonic aspects. For this game, we will have 16 teams or quarterbacks. Here's the selection of quarterbacks: Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Vector, Shadow, Rouge, Omega, Blaze, Silver, Tangle, Whisper, Surge, Zavok, Metal, and Eggman. I do have to say that you can't have other characters playing on your team, so if you pick to play Shadow, you can't select other characters playing on your team like Rouge. It's the opposite of Mario Super Sluggers if I need an example. The reason for that is because your team is composed of Egg Pawns and the soldiers from Sonic Frontiers. They look like they can play football. With the soldiers and Egg Pawns, you can set them in any position like the center line or running back. The difference between the two is that the Egg Pawns are much more durable than the soldiers, but they're slower in comparison. The soldiers are more suited for positions like running back and wide receivers because they are faster, although it can be tackled pretty easily, unlike the Egg Pawns. It allows you to come up with a strategy for how you would prefer to play the game. They also come in different colors too, so there's that. For basic stuff, you can decide to have a formation where you can just pass the ball to the running back or throw the ball downfield. You get to select these strategies between each play. When it comes to any Sonic mechanics, there's really only one I can think of, and that is the super move system. When playing offensively, you have this gauge meter where you can unleash your super throw once full. Super throws are basically the quarterback's best move where it can affect the defensive players before successfully being retrieved by an open player on your team. Sonic, for example, will throw the football after doing a spin dash where it knocks any defensive player down with its blistering speeds. Once the offensive player catches the ball from Sonic, they will get a huge boost of speed. To fill your meter up, your offense has to either consecutively get first downs in possession of the ball, your defense manages to not let the opposing team get consecutive first downs, or collect the rings that are scattered on the field. Pretty simple. So far, it seems like I'm just explaining a Madden clone. This is where the fun part begins. Now, this game would have been realistic like Madden because it's a Sonic game first, football game second. This game is the perfect excuse for everyone to be extremely competitive because they're so freaking violent like the players in Mario Strikers. Well, the first 2 games anyway. It's football. It will do that to anyone. There are some intermissions where if your team isn't playing well before the second half of the game, you get to see the quarterback giving these WTF reactions. If they're playing well, that's when they usually in characterized Sonic giving a thumbs up to his teammates. I think this adds to the charm and the personality of the game. Going back to gameplay, this football game will be more of a Sonic skin NFL Blitz more than a Madden clone. That's more thematically fitting since Sonic is a very kinetic franchise and football is a very intense and rough sport, so it makes more sense for it to be chaotic. There are some mechanics I didn't explain originally. For example, those super throws can be intercepted. Whoever you're playing as defense will get into this QTE like strikers to hold the ball if they intercept it. If they do that, they get the energy and the effects of the super throw. That would definitely change so many outcomes of so many games. Oh yeah, in real life football, there are rules to follow, and if broken, will result in a flag, which will push a team backwards. There are a lot of rules in football, but the basic ones in this game are delay a game, unsportsmanlike conduct. You can taunt in this game, but don't do it near the opposing team, or better yet, when Oma Chow is watching. Roughing the passer, holding, or pass interference. Now, I can bet that you, the player, wouldn't have many penalties on you, but the AI of your teams can. Granted, having penalties can be toggled off in the options if you want to play illegal football, but honestly, having them on will make games much more intense. That's basically it for the gameplay of Sonic Football. Let's talk about other subjects. So we have 10 stadiums. One of them is a basic football stadium based on AT&T Stadium. Why yes, I am a Cowboys fan and I've been experiencing disappointment ever since. Another football stadium that is outside and more akin to a college football stadium, there's Emerald Hill, Sky Sanctuary, Bad Future Starter Speedway, Casino Park, Spagonia, Mirage Saloon, Kronos Island from Sonic Frontiers, and a Space Colony Arc. There's a quick match where it's self-explanatory, just play a quick game of football. There's Field One where it's honestly a 3D home run test. The main goal of this game is to kick the football as hard as you can, where it literally flies across continents and momentarily with your character racing to wherever the football is heading to kick the ball again mid-run. It's just to see how long you keep the ball in the air while it travels the earth. Ring goes is simply to see how many rings you can throw a football through before the timer goes out. Obviously there's online, and finally, Emerald Mode. Emerald Mode is pretty much the season mode of the game where you play a set amount of games before going out to the playoffs. You have to be in the top 7 of the 16 teams where you have the best record. Win and loss game ratio essentially. The top 7 teams will automatically be rewarded a Chaos Emerald, and the number 1 scoring team will get to play 1 less game than the others. Then it will become an elimination style tournament, and whoever wins the game gets to take the losing team's Chaos Emerald and add it to the collection of Chaos Emeralds. The championship game, the Emerald Bowl, which is fought at Chaos Angel in Unlockable Stadium. The last 2 teams standing are expected to face one another, and the winner not only adds the remaining Chaos Emeralds from the losing team to their collection, but is granted the ultimate prize of the Master Emerald, or a trophy mockup of it. Let's start wrapping things up. You can have stages be played at day or night. Also, on the fields, there are a lot of mock-up advertisements like Challenge Space movies. So DLC should be made for this game with extra quarterbacks like SBO, Sage, and Styx for example, and extra stadiums like Tropical Resort and Chaos Island. Also, the team should have very fun creative names like the Blue Blurs for Sonic or the Guardians for Knuckles. I feel like we can have actual commentary on the games by Omochao, but I think it would be cool to have these 2 guys from IDW Comics as commentators since they were made with that occupation in mind. Halftime shows at the Emerald Bowl are performed by some version of these guys, and they actually get to sing actual lyrical songs from Sonic's history, which you can select what song you want them to play before the Emerald Bowl starts. The music should be varying genres, but I genuinely want the overtime music to be this intense hardcore rock song because it would definitely set the mood greatly. Sonic Football is a good name and straight to the point, but Sonic Touchdown is cooler. What you guys think? Well, that was my video of Sonic Touchdown. I would love for Sonic spin-offs to be more creative, and I think a football game is a good candidate for a really fun and super competitive time with friends. Thank you guys so much for watching, and tell me which team you're rooting for in this season in the comment section below, and I will see you next time. Why is it easier to be a Sonic fan than a Cowboy fan these days? I just want to know. I really just want to freaking know.